Welcome everybody. Today we are going to learn statistical hypothesis testing. Statistical hypothesis testing is a very important and interesting tools in inferential statistics. So let us go. What is statistical hypothesis testing? So this is a method. So we are making inference from the sample. So statistical hypothesis is nothing but a method. We are going to infer about the sample. So this is a concern with the decision making from the data. Hypothesis test is mainly used to verify the claim that is made about the population. So we are going to making decision about the claim about the population from the sample. This is the statistical hypothesis test. The lot of procedure, lot of step. Let us go in details. So there is a long story about the statistical test. It is developed by 3 researchers. One of them is Ronald Fisher, who is a British statistician. Second one is Neyman, who is a Polish-American mathematician, also statistician. And third one is Egon S. Pearson, who is also a British statistician. The 3 researchers did the pioneer work to develop statistical hypothesis test. So we told already, statistical hypothesis test is nothing but to infer about what? About the question of interest. So you should have a question. What do you want to do? From that question, or according to question, we have to collect the data. Then we have to examine our data through some statistical method. Then you have to make a final decision. And one thing you should remember, in statistical hypothesis test, we always make a statement about the population, not about the sample. Anything we are making a statement about the population. In statistical hypothesis test, based on the sample, we have to conclude whether we have enough evidence to reject or accept a proposal or proposition about the population. So all the thing will be based on sample. Then we have to accept or reject the proposal or proposition. Suppose we want to verify the statement that smoking causes lung cancer. So this is somebody said, or something, this is already established by someone, that is smoking causes lung cancer. This is the statistical hypothesis testing first step, and we have to agree with this, and we assume that this is the true, and we assuming that smoking causes lung cancer. This is a null hypothesis, which is very important part of statistical hypothesis test. Then to verify the statement, we took sample. Then based on the sample through some statistical test or procedure, then you have to make a conclusion whether smoking causes lung cancer or not. So this is the process for statistical hypothesis test. Let us go in more details. So in hypothesis testing, we have to follow some steps. And first and most important steps, we have to choose null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. After choosing the null and hypothesis, second step, we have to choose a significant level. We'll discuss in later on. Then based on our sample data, we have to calculate the test statistics. Then we have to calculate the critical region or the p-value, and number 5th, we have to make the final decision that whether we are going to accept the null hypothesis or accept the alternative hypothesis. So these are the 5 basic steps. Inside there are a lot of things, but these are the main 5 steps for statistical hypothesis test. Please remember, maybe number 2 or number 5 may be upper or lower, but these are the main 5 steps for statistical hypothesis test. Let us go in details. So null hypothesis, that is we want to test. Null hypothesis usually denoted by H naught. That is, and we always assume that it is true. An alternative hypothesis is different from the null hypothesis. That is, null hypothesis is not true. So null hypothesis, we are saying something is true and denoted by H naught, and alternative hypothesis, we are saying the null hypothesis is not true and it is denoted by HA or S subscript A or S subscript 1. So both are right. Anyone you can use, no problem. HA or H1. But all normally null hypothesis always is not. For example, let us go in details. What is the null hypothesis? We want to check the average income of the inhabitants in a city is $800. So what is the null hypothesis? We have to agree. We have to agree that the average income of the inhabitants of the city is $800. That is, H naught will be mu. That is, the mean income is $800. This is the alternative hypothesis. This is the null hypothesis. And what is the alternative hypothesis? We have to say the average income is not $800 of the inhabitants. That is, HA will be mu equal to naught. That is, average income is not $800. This is the example of alternative hypothesis. So first of all, we agree the average income of the household or inhabitants of the city is $800. And that is the null hypothesis is no, and alternative hypothesis, the average income denoted by mu is not $800. So this is the example of null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. Let us check other example. Try to make yourself. I gave some hints. Suppose the average sleeping hour of the student is 5 hours. Somebody claimed that, his research or from the data, he claimed that the average sleeping hour of the student 5 hours. So what to do? First of all, we agree with this statement that the mean sleeping time of the student is 5 hours. That is mu equal to 5 hours. And alternative hypothesis, we are not agree. That is, the sleeping hour is not 5 hours. That is mu equal to not 5 hours. So null hypothesis is student sleeping hour is 5 hours, and alternative hypothesis in word student sleeping hour is not 5 hours. Maybe more than, maybe less than, but we are not specifying. We are saying it is not 5 hours. So please think about 5 more examples of null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. This will be helpful for you to build the hypothesis test. If you understand null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis, then easy to understand statistical test. So I gave you 2 examples. You can build a lot of examples and write yourself. Null hypothesis, you are agree with the statement, and alternative hypothesis, you are not agree with the statement. And the second step, we have to find the level of significance. That is level of significance before going to test, we have to specify. That is denoted by alpha. Level of significance, remember, denoted by alpha. What is this? This is the probability that we are doing some error. That is something unusual. So some error, this type of error you have to specify before. So the most common used level of significance is the 5% or 0.05 and 1% or 0.01. What is the meaning of 5% level of significance or 0.05? That is 5% chance of rejecting a true null hypothesis. That is, we are doing mistakenly, we can reject a true null hypothesis 5% of time. Similarly, 1% level of significance means that we can reject a true null hypothesis 1% of time. So we are doing the mistake. Here we are doing the less mistake. 5% time we are doing more mistake. 1% time we are doing the less mistake. So this is the level of significance. We will talk still more about this. So just remember, before going to test, we have to specify our level of significance, maybe 5% and 1%. But standard is normally 5%. That is 5% time we are going to reject the null hypothesis. when it is true, means you are doing 5% mistake and 1% doing, you are doing 1% mistake. That is more accurate. Then third step, we have to calculate some statistical formula. We have to find the test statistics from the observed data, and depend on our null hypothesis, we have to use some test statistics. The most frequent test statistics are normal test, t-test, f-test, and chi-square test. There are also some other tests, but these are the most common used statistical tests that you have to calculate from the sample data. And number 4, you have to find the critical region, as I told, or p-value. Nowadays, p-value is most widely used formula or method to accept or reject a null hypothesis. P-value that you can get from the R spaces Python. We can get the p-value, and critical region is calculated from the tabulated value of the test statistic that we have calculated in step 4, whether t, whether f, whether z, or chi-square. So based on this tabulated value, we have to find the critical region, and p-value also based on the tabulated value, the test statistics, but it is easy and most widely used. And number 5, we have to make the decision. If we use the critical region, that is, we have find from the tabulated value, that is, if the test statistics greater than tabulated value, that is fall in the critical region, we have to reject the null hypothesis. So one approach is the calculated value of test statistics is more than a tabulated value, that is, it is fall in the critical region, you have to reject the null hypothesis. And the p-value is more straightforward. If it is less than 0.05, then we have to reject the null hypothesis, that is, we accept the alternate hypothesis at 5% level of significance, or p-value less than 0.01, that is, we have to reject the null hypothesis and 1% level of significance. So p-value is straightforward. If it is less than 0.5, 0.05, we reject null hypothesis at 5% level of significance. If it is less than 0.01, we reject the null hypothesis at 1% level of significance. So remember, less than 0.5, we have to reject the null hypothesis for 5%, and less than 0.01, that is less than 1%, we have to reject the null hypothesis at 1% level of significance. So this is a two approach. Based on the two approach, we have to finally make the decision about the null hypothesis. Please, now we have to go more details. So tests, there are a lot of tests, lot of criteria. For a good test, we have to think about, or we have to consider always two criteria. One is significant level, other is power. Significant level, we already discussed, this is the error, the probability of rejecting the null hypothesis when it is actually true. That is, we are making some error. We are doing some error, 5% or 1%. 5% times or 1% time, we are going to reject the true null hypothesis. This is a significant level. And the error we are doing for rejecting null hypothesis, when it is true, it is called type 1 error. So what is type 1 error? This is nothing but the error of rejecting a true null hypothesis. And when it is convert to probability, it is called significant level and denoted by alpha. Okay. So first criteria is significant level. Okay. It may be 5% or 1%. And second one is the power. Before power, let us know what is type 2 error. Type 1 error, we came to know rejecting a true null hypothesis, and type 2 error fail to reject a null hypothesis when it is actually false. That is, we are accepting a false null hypothesis. That is, we are going to accept a null hypothesis when it is false. That is, we are also doing the mistake. So the mistake we are doing to accept a false null hypothesis. Here we are reject a true null hypothesis. Here we are accepting a false null hypothesis. That is, we are doing other type of mistake. That is called type 2 error. And the probability of accepting a false null hypothesis is denoted by beta, and power is the 1 minus beta. That is probability of rejecting a null hypothesis when it is truly false. That is, we are not doing the mistake. So type 2 error is the mistake of mistakenly accepting a null hypothesis when it is false. But power is the 1 minus beta, that is the probability of rejecting a truly false hypothesis. That is, power is not doing the mistake. So these two criteria, significant level and the power, is very important part for a good statistical test. Remember that, type 1 error and type 2 error. So I make a table for you. What is type 1 error and type 2 error? If we have the true value of the population, that is null hypothesis is actually true and null hypothesis is actually false. And based on the test statistics, we accept the null hypothesis, we reject the null hypothesis. So when it is true and we are going to accept, we are making the correct decision. That is the no mistake, okay? And here, null hypothesis is true, but we reject, as I told. That is, we are rejecting the null hypothesis based on the test statistic when it's actually true. This is the type 1 error. And probability of doing type 1 error is alpha. That is nothing but our significant level. So when the population, in the population, null hypothesis actually true, but we are rejecting it, type 1 error. And what is the, this see, here is the actual population, null hypothesis false, but we accept it. Accept the probability of accepting a null hypothesis when it is actually false. So we are making a mistake. We are mistakenly accepting a false null hypothesis. That is called type 2 error. That is, I told, probability of making type 2 error is the beta. And this is, I told, 1 minus beta is the power of the test. As I told, 1 minus beta is the power of the test. That is rejecting a true false null hypothesis. That is a null hypothesis false, but we are making rejecting it. That this is the power of the test, that making the correct decision. So this is the type 1 error and type 2 error. Please remember this table. This will be helpful for you to understand type 1 error and type 2 error. I myself still lot of practice, 20 years, still I confuse. So, but when I confuse, I find out this table from my notes or other, then I fix it. What is type 1 error? Rejecting a null hypothesis when it is actually true, doing some mistake. This is the accepting a null hypothesis when it is false. So this is type 1 error and type 2 error. So there is an example of making type 1 error and type 2 error, and which is more severe. Now you have a question, which is more severe? Type 1 error, rejecting a true null hypothesis, or type 2 error, accepting a false null hypothesis? Which is more severe? So it is very difficult to answer which is more severe, type 1 error or type 2 error. It depends on the test. So there is a test. Suppose we have the two medicine 1, the effectiveness of medicine 1 is denoted by mu1, the effectiveness of medicine 2 is denoted by mu2. So we want to test that the two medicine effect is same or not, and so our null hypothesis will be that effectiveness of two medicine is same, that is mu1 equal to mu2, and alternative hypothesis, as I told, not the null hypothesis is not true, that is mu1 is not equal to mu2, that the effectiveness of two medicines is not same. So this is we want to test, and how it is going to affect type 1 error, type 2 error. Suppose our null hypothesis is true, that is effectiveness of two medicine is true, but researchers are doing the test, mistakenly reject the null hypothesis. It is true that effectiveness of medicine 1 and medicine is true, but based on the sample data, the researcher concluded that the effectiveness of two medicine is not same. He did the mistake. That is, mistakenly he reject the null hypothesis when it is actually true. So what is, he did a mistake. But if you think, this mistake is not so severe, because he said two medicine effect is not same, actually same. So patient took the any medicine. So somebody came to buy the medicine 1 or 2. So suppose he said the 1 is better, he gave the 1. But suppose he can take the 2. But any one medicine he took, he gave the same benefit. So this is, he is doing a mistake. Medicine effect is same, but it is, effect is is same, but he says it is not same. So he is giving the medicine 1 instead of medicine 2. But patient is getting the benefit, same benefit. So this is the consequence of type 1 error. Now let us say what is type 2 error. Null hypothesis is false. That is, alternative to two medicine effective is not same. So if researcher make the type 2 error, that is he mistakenly, he failed to reject the null hypothesis when it is false. He failed to reject. He did not reject. He accepted the null hypothesis. He said that from his data, the effectiveness of two medicine, mu1 and mu2 is same, but they are not same. They are different. So what will happen? This is a potential life-threatening, because patient, because he says same, so he give the any medicine. Suppose he gave the patient medicine 1 because he gave the same, but medicine 1 is effective or medicine 1 is less effective and sold to the public instead of the more effective. So this is life-threatening. He is selling from his research, he found the same, they both the same. So anyone, he's selling to the patient anyone medicine, but patient is not getting the less effective medicine 1. So this is the effect of type 2 error. This is for this hypothesis. Here is type 2 error is more severe. Type 1 error, that is not severe. They are same. They are actually same, but he's not same. So this mistake is bad, but they are not same. So threatening same, he is not same, but he is giving the same medicine. So type 2 error, this case is very, very severe. So conducting any research, please, first of all, calculate type 1 and type 2 error. So which is more severe than the other, then you choose your level of significance and the power of the test, and then you can minimize your error. So this is very important before going to test, to choose a level of significance and the power of the test. Okay, so depend on the which type of error is more severe, you can choose your level of significance and the power of the test. When you are doing the statistical test, you may hear some word, statistical significance, or sometimes very highly statistical significance. What's the meaning of it? Normally, when we reject a null hypothesis, accept the alternative, it is called statistical significance. But if you reject the null hypothesis at 5% level, it is simple statistical significance. But when you reject the null hypothesis at 1% level of significance, the test is highly statistical significant. So significant means we are rejecting a hypothesis at 5% level of significance, and highly significant means, statistical significant means we are rejecting the null hypothesis at 1% level of significance. That is more accurate. We are doing less mistake. For 5%, we are doing the more, we consider more mistake and simple statistical significance. And when we are doing less mistake, the test is more accurate. This is called highly statistical significant. So as I told, we make our decision based on two things. One is the critical reason, other is the p-value. But nowadays, almost everywhere, researchers used to like p-value. Let us know what is p-value. P-value, nothing but the probability value. The probability normally 0 to 1. So p-value is the probability value. So p-value, that is p-value simplify. If you read it, you will get the simple thing. That is where, so in statistics or hypothesis test, we are going to calculate some observed value of test statistics. That is that we got some value. Okay. So if you got this value or more value mistakenly, the probability of getting the value of the test statistic by chance, randomly. So p-value is nothing but the probability of the test value, or that is more than the test value, randomly or by chance. That is, we got the value mistakenly. This is the p-value. If the null hypothesis is true, what is the chance you are doing the mistake? So this is the p-value. So if we are doing the less mistake, less chance to accept the null hypothesis. We have to then you have to accept the null hypothesis. More chance to reject, more chance to accept the alternative hypothesis. Okay, so p-value small means less chance, there is more chance to accept the null hypothesis and less chance to reject the null hypothesis. So p-value means we are getting the value not by chance. So p-value less means we are getting the value not by chance. So smaller p-value is stronger evidence for rejecting null hypothesis. So smaller p-value means we are not getting the result by chance. So we are reject the null hypothesis, accept the alternative. That is, we did not get our result by chance. Small means very small chance we calculated our value randomly or by chance or mistakenly. So we are not going to accept our null hypothesis. We are going to reject the null hypothesis. We are going to accept alternative hypothesis. So p-value nothing but the getting the test statistics value by chance or randomly. So less p-value mean less chance of accepting the null hypothesis, more chance to accept the alternative hypothesis. This is the p-value. P-value less mean our test value is more accurate. That is, we have to go for the alternative hypothesis. This is the p-value. Suppose we fixed our significance level 5%, and based on the test strategy, we got the p-value 0.03 or 3%. So our p-value less than 0.5. Less than 0.5 mean we have less chance to do the mistake. Since our p-value less than 0.5, we have to reject the null hypothesis at 5% level of significance. That is we get our result mistakenly only 3% of time. So we have to reject the null hypothesis, accept the alternative hypothesis for 5% level of significance, because we fixed our error is 5%, but we did the mistake less than 5% to calculate our test statistics based on the sample data. So we are not going to accept the null hypothesis. We are going to accept the alternative hypothesis. So this is the meaning of the p-value. Less p-value mean we are going to reject the null hypothesis. So normally, if we put your level of significance 5%, if you got your p-value 3%, that is our mistake is less than the 5%. So we are going to reject the null hypothesis and going to accept the alternate hypothesis. So let us summarize about the p-value. So p-value, as I told, is a number, a probability between 0 and 1. And if our p-value less than 0.5, which can you calculate from the R, Python, Spaces, Stata, or some other statistical tool. If it is less than 0.5, for 5% level of significance, we are going to reject the null hypothesis, accept the alternative hypothesis. When p-value greater than, we have to accept the null hypothesis. Okay, just remember only one thing. If it is less than 0.5, we are going to reject the null hypothesis. One interesting thing, you may ask the question, when the p-value is 0.05, what can you do? This is the cutoff point. This is depend upon you. Depend on your test, you can accept or reject the null hypothesis. When the p-value exactly 0.5 for 5% level or 1% level is exactly 0.1, what to do? This is depend upon your test. So you can accept or reject. You can do anything. But my suggestion, if it is less than, better to reject the null hypothesis. One interesting thing, suppose for p-value is more convenient. See, without fixing your level of significance, you can decide what to do. Depending on the test, what to do. You got the p-value 0.06. Normally, it is not less than 0.5. It is more than 0.5. It is less than 0.5. We reject the null hypothesis. It is more than 0.5. We fail to reject the null hypothesis. So we accept the null hypothesis. But if you consider 10% level of significance, it is less than 10%. So in this case, we reject the null hypothesis. So let me repeat it again. For if we got the p-value 0.06, see our cutoff value normally less than 0.5 for 5% level of significance. If it is less than 0.5, we reject the null hypothesis and accept the alternative hypothesis. But it is not less than 0.5, so we cannot reject the null. We fail to reject the null hypothesis. That is, we are going to accept the null hypothesis. When we accept the null hypothesis, the test is not statistical significant. See, for 5% level of significance, it is not statistical significant. But if you consider your level of 10%, for 10%, p-value 0.06 is less than 10%. That is, when it is less than the 10%, we fail to, that is we reject the null hypothesis. Less than 10%, we have to reject the null hypothesis. At 10% level significance, the test is statistical significant. So this is the convenient for p-value. After getting a p-value, depend on the test, you can at what percent we are going to reject and what percent we are going to accept, you can do it. So you can do the, from one test, you can do for 2 level of significance. So p-value is more convenient than conventional critical region. Okay, so please go through it carefully and try to remember. You need more practice. You need more practice to understand the p-value. I make it simple for you. Any question you can ask me, but this is a simple way. I try my best to simplify. Just remember, p-value less than 0.5, we have to reject the null hypothesis, accept the alternative hypothesis. Always less than 0.5, reject the null hypothesis. Okay, for 5% level of significance. So grocery shops claim that their delivery time in on average 40 minutes. So first of all, to test the hypothesis, we have to agree with the claim. That is, the mean delivery time is 40 minutes. Is correct. And alternate hypothesis is mean delivery time is greater than 40 minutes. So we are not agree with the claim. That is, we said delivery time is more than 40 minutes. So we randomly took a sample of delivery times around some hypothesis test and got the p-value 0.002. That is almost 0.2%. So which compared with our level of significance, we fix our level of significance 5% as the p-value less than 0.05. As I told, if the p-value less than 0.05, we have to reject the null hypothesis. That is, we reject the null hypothesis at 5% level of significance and conclude and accept the alternate hypothesis. What is our alternate hypothesis? The mean time is greater than 40 minutes. So we are not agree with the claim of the grocery shop that the mean time is 40 minutes. It is more than 40 minutes. So this is the way to conclude, make the conclusion for p-value. P-value is more easier. So from the test statistics, we can find that p-value. Here I put some website or some link. Here you can get the p-value for different test statistics. We'll do in more details. When you are going to conduct the statistical test, you will get some word, some word, one tail or two tail test. So suppose our alternate null hypothesis, the mu1, mu equal to mu0. We have the mu value of mu equal to maybe 40, that is before we did 40 minutes. So mu equal to mu0, that is some mean value. If we alternate hypothesis not equal, maybe less than, maybe more than, this is called two tail test. But if our alternative hypothesis is less than, it is called left tail or one tail test. It is one type of one tail test. If we say mu is greater than some value of the mu0, then it is right tail, or this is also one tail test. So this is the one tail test when alternative hypothesis is not equal, maybe less than, more than. When alternative hypothesis is less than or it is more than, then it is called one tail test. Okay. So this is the graphical view for two tail test. If you in statistics, there is the error is divided in two parts, for two tail test, and one test left tail test. It is the left tail of the normal distribution, left side, and for the greater than test, it is the right side. The error is the right side of the normal curve. As I told, there are a lot of statistical tests, but the most common one, normal test or Z test, T test, F test, and chi-square test. This is the most common test. Next class we will learn the test individually.